welcome to day number 12 of the 28 Days of Love. I am your host, Dr. Sabrina, the people expert. I help people with people, even if that person is themselves. And so we're going to dive right in to our talk tonight. And my talk today is about getting naked. I said it. Getting naked. So, of course, when I say getting naked, most people begin to think about becoming physically naked or taking all your clothes off. And yes, with your significant other, that is absolutely okay to do. But I want to go a little deeper today about getting naked. I want to talk about bearing all. I want to talk about bearing all. I want to talk about revealing your feelings. I want to talk about not having a covering with your mate. I want to talk about being raw and real. I want to talk about just communicating your truth to your mate. So when we talk about being naked, another way of being naked or being vulnerable to your mate, another thing is becoming blunt. If you think it, say it. Being bold in your language, being candid and being clear and having clarity in what you're saying to your mate, because I know that in order to do this, there are some things that we say all the time. One of the things that we hear, I hear this all the time, is a song, and the song is, "If you don't know me by now, you will never know me." We say that all the time. And we say that because we've been with a person for a long time and we're really expecting them to get us to understand why we feel the way we feel. But the danger in that is that we may not have told the person. We may not have been blunt with the person. We may not have been candid with the person. We may not have clarity in what we're saying to the person. So in order to get naked, in order to be bold, in order to be vulnerable in our conversations, because when we talk about love, and this is the 28 Days of Love, when we're talking about love, in order for us to really have true love, deep love, vulnerability is necessary. So there are 4 things that block us from being naked with our partners. The first is fear. Fear stops us, oh yes, from being honest. Fear stops us from being open. And the fear comes from the assumptions that we build up in our own mind about what the person is going to think if we say that. There are many times that we have a feeling, we think a thing, but we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to get the other person upset. We want to keep the peace. We don't want to, so we walk on eggshells. Because of this fear. So as we're talking about the fear, what are the 4 things that happen that causes us to stay there? The first is you need to ask yourself, why are you avoiding telling the truth? Why are you avoiding your truth? Why are you avoiding your honesty? Why are you avoiding not being open about how you feel, what you need, why you need it, all of that? And I know for me, and I know for many of the people that I've worked with through in the years, coaching and counseling and things of that nature, I've worked with people who they were just conditioned not to tell. They were conditioned based on experiences they've been through, things that they've heard, that they just did not feel comfortable being the real them. In fact, low self-esteem is a reason, because if you don't love you, you are really shaky on whether somebody else is really loving you anyway. I remember a time that I was working with someone and they said that because of their size, they were always concerned that their mate wouldn't want them, that somebody smaller would come along and take their mate away. So they were never honest about how they didn't feel sexy, how they didn't feel wanted, things of that nature. Your mate can only do what you give them the information around doing. So you have to make sure that you're honest with yourself about why you're avoiding standing in your truth, standing in your honesty. Number 2, you need to assure yourself that it will be okay to share your truth. You need to begin to speak those things to yourself and say, you know what, when I tell the truth, when I give my honesty, it's going to work out. We're going to get through it. If there's a conflict, we're going to work through it. Use the skills that you learn about dealing with conflict and problem solving and anger management and things of that nature. But when you stuff your feelings, when you keep stuffing and stuffing and stuffing, it's going to affect something on the inside. So we need you to really, really, really begin to tell your truth. And be honest with yourself. Honor yourself, because to be real honest, your feelings matter. They matter. And then I always think about this. When you're with your life partner, when you're with your mate, that's supposed to be your road dog, your ace boom coon, your ride or die. So why am I not being honest with the person who's supposed to be the closest to me? Number 3 is that you need to talk with your mate. You need to just sit down and communicate with your mate. I remember when I was in a long-term relationship, we used to call what we had table talk. And whenever there was times that we had things we wanted to iron out or we needed to be serious, we would come and put it on the table. And we would stay at the table until we worked it out. So whatever came up, came out. Whatever we were thinking came out. And you have to be open to allowing the other person to tell their truth as well. Because sometimes the truth hurts. You know that movie, A Few Good Million, when they say, oh, you can't handle the truth. You want the truth, but you can't handle the truth. So I want you to take my truth, but I don't want you to give me your truth. It's got to be a two-way street. It's got to be a two-way street. You must be open to listening. So not just you want to be heard, but you have to be open to listening yourself. And then number 4 is that you need to reinforce all the time open communication. You need to reinforce to the other person that they can tell their truth. You need to just become naked. Reveal the real in you and encourage your partner to reveal the real in them. Because only those relationships that you can get to the core of who you are. You know, I always say I want to be with someone who simply gets me. But you can't get me if I don't share me. You can't get me if I'm not open about me. You can't get me if I'm not telling you my truth. So you must constantly check yourself first. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Check yourself and really ask yourself and understand, why am I not really getting naked with my partner? And if you get to the point that you can never be naked for real with your partner, and not just naked physically, but naked, vulnerable, open, blunt, maybe that's not your partner. Ooh, I said it. So that's day number 12. I will be back with you tomorrow. I want you to hashtag 28 Days of Love. Follow me on Instagram at The People Expert or on my YouTube page, The People Expert. Love you.